Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, man, and my voice is pretty much gone. And I was like, you know what, I'll do a video after I go to sleep, but I can't sleep, man. This level of excitement going to an NFC championship game for the first time since I've been alive, man. I felt like I had to go ahead and knock out this review video, man. And y'all already know how this goes. We break down every single position group. We're going to talk about every player that contributed, good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Mike Sanders still balled out, but we still got to talk about the one bad play he had. You know what I'm saying? I'm perfectly honest, 100% transparent with everything. We're going to break down every single position group, the good and the bad. We're even going to talk about different coaches as well. Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., Cliff Kingsbury. We got to talk about the rest for a little bit. I'm going to update y'all on some injuries and a lot more. But before we get into everything, first of all, I have a fun trivia fact at the end of this video for you as well, if you stay tuned and make it all the way to the end. Since, you know, again, my grandma gave me this calendar and everything, and it's daily facts for every single day. Well, they combine Saturday and Sunday, but either way, instead of this being a trivia question, this was just a fact. I'll give it to you at the end of the video. Now, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the videos. Shouts out to everybody that pulled up to the live stream, man. Left likes, donated. The call-in show afterwards was fantastic, man. And you know we'll be live streaming this upcoming game versus either the Rams or the Eagles. Whoever wants it, I'll be live streaming that game, doing play-by-play analysis just like we did with this one. But without further ado, let's go and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. Yes, sir. Final score: Commanders beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit 45-31. We outscored them in the first half and then again outscored them in the second half, which led to a 14-point victory. Should have been more than that if the refs didn't give them a free touchdown. We'll get into that later. Either way, Jaden Daniels' rookie year already leads us to a away victory versus the #1 seed in the NFC in the playoffs, man. Rookie year one of a rebuild, 14-5, headed to the NFC Championship. Come on, man. From 4 wins to 14 and counting, man. And like I said, even before this game started, I said this days ago, whoever wins this game between the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions, I feel like they're at least my pick to go to the Super Bowl. They may be my pick to win the Super Bowl, because I truly feel like, especially when fully healthy, this Detroit Lions team is the best in the NFL. But even while hurt, I still felt like they were the best team in the entire NFL, at least in the NFC. And the fact that we beat them, and not only did we beat them, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. This was a beatdown. It felt worse than the score actually shows you, man. We took the lead in like the second quarter and never gave it back. This was not some little fluky win where the Commanders had a game-winning drive. No, the defense made plays when they needed to. The offense made plays when they needed to. The special teams was spectacular. Shouts out to Tressway. He only had to punt once in this game, and then the kickoff coverage and everything was elite. Like this, all 3 facets of the game. We won a turnover battle. You'll win the game against any opponent. And like I said, coming into this game, I kept saying it. I had like a funny feeling of confidence. I didn't exactly know why. I didn't have the X's and O's to explain it. I just felt like, hey, man, going into this game, I think we have a way better chance of winning. And people were doubting us, man. Oh my God, we were severe underdogs and everything. It was crazy. And I kept saying, any given Sunday, line it up. I predicted us to win. I predicted us to win by a closer score than that, but I did predict us to win. But I've been saying for the past few weeks that, hey, man, we don't have to win every game down to the wire. Can we actually just win a game convincingly with like a double-digit score type of lead to finish the game and things like that, to where we kind of like the fourth quarter, not necessarily coasting, but you know, we're in firm control of the game and things like that. And then they picked the hardest opponent on our schedule, including the regular season, postseason, all of that combined, to finally do it against for the first time since we played the Tennessee Titans before the bye week. Do y'all know that we have the longest streak in the NFL right now? Before the playoffs even started, we had the longest streak with 5 wins. Now I believe we're up to like 7, right? After 2 playoff wins, that's the hottest streak that any other team in the NFL has right now. No other team in the NFL is on the type of win streak that we're on right now, and a lot of them were game winners. But nevertheless, we haven't lost since before Thanksgiving, y'all. Do y'all understand that? we're already about to be, we're past the midpoint of January. By the time we play again, it will pretty much be late January. What's that going to be? January 26th? You know what I'm saying? Potentially, or maybe January 25th. We'll see. More than likely January 26th. I believe that's how that goes. But either way, my point is, man, the Commanders are playing football and it's almost February. And I truly believe after beating the Lions, I mean, who are you possibly afraid of? I'm not saying we're going to be we're not going to be underdogs moving forward. But after you beat the Detroit Lions, I mean, who isn't afraid to play us? Eagles, Rams, no matter who wins, they have to be like, oh, man, I mean, what can you do against this team, man? Now that we finally got the run game going, how do you stop this offense? Then the defense is finally clicking. We're going to talk about that when we get to Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr. But, man, 4 wins to 14, man. Shouts out to Ron Rivera for being incompetent and Greg Zuerlein of the Jets for hitting that game-winning field goal that set us up to get Jaden Daniels because we wouldn't be here without him. I still think Caleb Williams is going to end up being a good quarterback. I think Drake May's talented. I think Bo Nix is pretty good. We're not here without Jaden Daniels. You could take either of those other quarterbacks, and we're not here. I truly believe that. Also, the Commanders now have a win against the top 3 seeds in the NFC. Think about that. The Lions just now in the playoffs, the Eagles in the regular season, and then the Buccaneers also in the playoffs as well. Your number 1, 2, and 3 seeds in the NFC. We have victories over all of them, but I'm pretty sure even if you gave us any other seeds as opponents, we would beat them as well. We just so happen to play those guys in the regular season and postseason. And shouts out to the Detroit Lions, man, because them and TikTok all pretty much went away at the same time, pretty much. Like by the time TikTok was taken down, the Detroit Lions season was pretty much already over. So hey, Detroit Lions have something in common with TikTok right there. Also, it's been 33 years since we went to an NFC Championship game. Again, I'm younger than that, so like it's never been me. Shouts out to Grant Paulson for pointing out the fact that's 12,060 days, 1,723 weeks, and 289,439 hours. We are going back finally. Let's get it. Now, we also got to talk about some revenge and some hate that was going on, man. Because first of all, we were 9.5 underdogs at a certain point. I believe like when the odds first opened and then by the time they closed, we ended up being 8.5 point underdogs. But we were 9.5 point underdogs at a certain point. Complete disrespect. They don't even think we can keep it within a touchdown. Come on now. I told people. I've been saying it all week. You can go check my videos. Stop doubting us. It's not that serious. Even on the Commanders Kings last Tuesday night. And I'm so excited about this upcoming Tuesday night. Make sure you pull up for that on the Commanders Kings channel, man. Commanders Kings, where I said, man, hey, and I feel like all of us agreed, but like we were all on the same type of time. Like, hey, man, they need to stop doubting us like this, man. 9.5 point underdogs. Y'all are tripping. And I believe all of us predicted to win that game. All 4 of us. Me, Louis T, Ed Oliver, Rio Robinson. I believe all 4 of us picked the Commanders to win this game. I don't think anybody necessarily saw it playing out like that, but let's get it, man. Also, this is definitely one of the biggest upsets in playoff history, man. A 15-win team. I mean, completely unstoppable, like literally all season. But hey, man, at the end of the day, when you have the best player on the field, arguably the best player in the NFL on your side, you never know. Because if you take away quarterbacks, the Detroit Lions roster is way better than ours. But our coaches outcoached their coaches today. We have to definitely admit that for sure. Especially Cliff Kingsbury was the best coach in the entire building today, in my personal opinion. And then on top of that, we had the best player, man. And in playoffs, especially when you get to the playoffs, it's quarterback versus quarterback more than anything else. You know, regular season is more so team versus team. We get to that playoff thing when everything gets gritty and that limelight is on, it's quarterback versus quarterback. And Jaden Daniels is definitely better than Jared Goff. So for some reason, Lions fans didn't feel the same way. Shouts out to NFL Network for doubting us, though. I believe everybody on ESPN picked against us. Out of the 10, NFL Network picks that they do every week for every game, only one person picked us to win. That was GPG. Everybody else picked us to lose. And I mean, hey, the biggest loss margin was G Gordon, 38-24. So shouts out to him for thinking of that being the worst game. A lot of these other games were like 3 points, 7 points, 6 points, and things like that. So nobody really picked us to win, but also I guess they didn't really see like the betting odds as far as us being 9.5 underdogs. That's cool though. Either way, they doubted us. And also, speaking of doubting us, remember when Ben Johnson said that he was turned off by the Commanders owners calling them basketball guys? Do you remember that? Man, Ben Johnson will never live that down. We got our revenge versus Ben Johnson. I never thought we would. Once I noticed that we would never play them in the regular season, I was like, dang, man, we're not even going to get a chance to shut Ben Johnson up, especially before he ends up leaving to become a head coach for another team. And then, not only did he never end up leaving to become a head coach, he stayed with the Detroit Lions, but then again, we didn't play them in the regular season. And with them being the #1 seed and us barely making the playoffs, who would have thought that not only would we beat the Buccaneers in the wild card round, but then also beat them in Detroit the next game, and convincingly again, man. I mean, he called our entire ownership a bunch of basketball guys and things like that, man. He pulled his name from the head coach running and everything like that while we were like in the plane, like on the way to him and things like that. And I'm pretty sure if there was anybody upset by that, it was Adam Peters, because that was before we even hired Dan Quinn, which was before Cliff Kingsbury, before Joe Witt Jr., before Jaden Daniels. You know what I'm saying? Before free agency, before the draft. Like pretty much 80% of the team, coaching staff, and front office, they weren't here yet. Maybe even 90-something% to be completely honest with you, from top to bottom. So this was more so an Adam Peters vendetta. Josh Harris and Adam Peters, Magic Johnson, and those guys, this meant more to them than anybody else. And I'm pretty sure Adam Peters made sure that message got through, because the way that they played today, you can't convince me that Adam Peters didn't get that message through. Well, technically how they played last night, whatever. It's 5 a.m. right now. Again, I couldn't sleep, man. I need to wake up early to go to the gym, but I couldn't sleep. I was like, I might as well go and do the video review right now. Also, the Commanders are now 4-0 against the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. I know coming into this game we were 3-0, but of course a lot of people, with us being severe underdogs like that, a lot of people were saying, well, I guess it's gonna be 3-1, isn't it? 4-0. Stop playing with us, man. Chill out, man. Chill out. Let's go. Also, just to point out the exact times that happened in the scores, January 18th, 2025, we just beat them 45-31. Let's go back. January 8th, 2000, 27-13. January 12th, 1992, 41-10. Arguably the best Super Bowl team, best singular season team in NFL history, that 1991 Washington Redskins team. And then January 8th, 1983, 31-7. I mean, really, none of these games are close. Technically, this game was the closest. This and the one back in 2000, both 14-point wins, but this one should have been bigger than 14. We shouldn't have even trusted Zane Gonzalez to make that kick at the end right there. Easily could have went for it on 4th down and scored another touchdown, you know what I'm saying? And the refs gave them a free 7 points, so it is what it is. Also, remember when Kevin O'Connell and Dan Campbell, after their game, like late in the regular season, Dan Campbell said to Kevin O'Connell, "I'll see you in 2 weeks." I felt like that was disrespect to all of us other than the Vikings. Honestly, I really did. I'm like, oh, so you just overlooking everybody else? You just think it's going to be Vikings versus Lions in like the NFC playoffs or something like that? Yeah, say less. Bet. We'll see y'all or maybe even in the division around. Either way, they completely overlooked the chances of the Commanders possibly even making it to them, let alone beating them, man. And so I guess, honestly, when he said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks," I think Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell were talking about seeing each other in Cancun or something like that, or maybe Disney World or with their family or something like that. That had to have been what they're talking about. They couldn't have met the playoffs with the way that both of them failed, man. I don't think y'all noticed, but the entire NFC North is in shambles right now. They sent 3 teams to the playoffs, and all 3 of them with immediate exits went 0-3 in the playoffs. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. The Commanders already have 2 playoff wins. Nobody in the NFC North had any, and they sent 3 to the playoffs this season. And then shouts out to that 4th team, the Chicago Bears, for allowing us to get Jaden Daniels, man. Salute to all of the NFC North, man. We appreciate y'all for being basically stepping stools for us to walk over, man. Little doormats for us to walk over to where we're going in the future for our success. And also shouts out to Kevin Durant, man, because he was talking his trash, wearing his jersey, showing himself before the game, and then Jahmyr Gibbs scored that first touchdown of the game, and he mocked Kevin Durant with his dance that he did in the locker room, and then Kevin Durant celebrated with the Commanders in the locker room after the game. That was really cool. Yeah, Mike Sanverstill, he was like doing like a live stream or recording with his phone, and you saw that boy KD, extra tall. I mean, you can sometimes forget how tall NBA players are when they're around normal human beings. But shouts out to Kevin Durant celebrating with the locker room. If anybody deserves it, it's him, man. Now, before we get on to the coaching staff, like we got to start with Dan Quinn. We're going to talk about Cliff Kingsbury. Then we're going to get to quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, all that. Then we're going to go through the defense, all of that type of stuff. But before we get there, injury-wise, just real quick, the only injury I'm concerned with that came from this game is starting right guard Samuel Cosmi, because Olamide Zaccheaus and Zach Ertz, both of them ended up getting hurt at some point, but they both came back and finished the game. But Samuel Cosmi never came back. So definitely something to watch heading up into the NFC Championship versus either the Rams or the Eagles. Of course, I will keep y'all updated every day on the injuries. As soon as I know, y'all will know. Hopefully Samuel Cosmi's able to suit up, but hey, shouts out to Trent Scott, because apparently he's a better guard than he is tackle, because he stepped up big time in Samuel Cosmi's place. I didn't even notice Samuel Cosmi was necessarily gone, but you still prefer to have the guy that you're paying all of that money, because there's a reason you're paying him all of that money. And this season wasn't quite as great as as I expected coming into the year, but he's still a really good guard. I would still argue he's at least a Pro Bowl caliber right guard. You don't ever want to lose a Pro Bowl caliber player no matter what it is, even if it's Jeremy Reeves all pro as a special teamer. You never want to lose that. There's no benefit to it. So Samuel Cosmi, please get well soon. I think we may be okay even without him with the way that the offensive line looked today, but please get well soon. Also, shouts out to Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. today, man. I'm gonna go ahead and throw Joe Witt Jr. in there with Dan Quinn just for a little bit for this purpose right here, because they have been screaming about creating turnovers, not only just all postseason and regular season, but even the offseason before the season even started, going all the way back to OTAs. When they first got hired in their initial press conferences, they kept reiterating over and over again, turnovers. We got to create turnovers. And they have been doing it for really well with the Dallas Cowboys. Before this 2024 season, before they came to the Commanders, the previous 3 seasons they spent with the Cowboys, they led the NFL in takeaways over the course of those 3 years. They were the best takeaway defense in the NFL for 3 whole years. And they just seemed to they just couldn't figure it out with this team yet. Now I feel like a lot of it is just, the defense learning each other. They got to learn the players got to learn them. The chemistry has to be there, the flow of the game. We got to, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? The NFL takes time. A lot of these teams that we're going against, especially playoff wise, they've been together for at least over a year. They're coming in to this season, this 2024 season, running it back. That's why the Buccaneers were able to catch us off guard week 1, and then we did what we did to them in the playoffs, man. This is a completely different team right now, and I feel like we're only going to keep getting better and better as Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., and these defensive players learn each other better. But also just talent, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we're just a couple of pieces away, from a Micah Parsons level edge rusher or something like that, from being one of the elite defense in the league. And even then, they stepped up and played like an elite defense at times today, definitely in flashes. I think they're working on it. And hey, man, we've been screaming about turnovers. Joe Witt Jr., every time you'll listen, he'll tell you, we got to get better with turnovers. He'll take a lot of the blame for it, but hey, man, they picked the best game to finally get some turnovers going, didn't it? You know what I'm saying? And Dan Quinn was not playing about those 4th down, man. We went for 4 4th downs, got 3 of them. Shouts out to that, man. And they all led to points that we really, really needed. And I'm not going to lie. After Zane Gonzalez missed that 44-yard field goal kick, which was pretty inconsequential, after the way how successful we are on 4th down conversions, and the fact that our kicker can't make 44-yard field goals, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Quinn never kicks another field goal again to end the season, man, to go all the way to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl without even attempting another field goal, man. I wouldn't be mad at it. Also, just to let you know, the Commanders converted 81.3% of their 4th down attempts this season. That's the highest rate by any team since 2018. That's absolutely insane. Also, shouts out to Dan Quinn, man. He is now 4-0, 3-0 in the playoffs, specifically on Saturdays. If the Commanders play on Saturday, or any team, if Dan Quinn is your head coach, you're literally destined to always win. Undefeated Dan Quinn is as a head coach on Saturday games. Insane stat right there. Also, shouts out to Rush Manuel for that one. Also, this marks the first time the Commanders have ever won 2 road playoff games in the same postseason. Ever. Insane, because remember those 1991 team, all of those great teams we had that won Super Bowls, we were playing at home for the playoffs. We didn't have to go somewhere else to do it. So, hey, man, shouts out to the Commanders for being the best unsung heroes in Washington history. Also, this is now the 2nd most points we've ever scored in a playoff game in Washington franchise history. The only game we had more was 51 January 1st, 1984 in the NFC divisional round versus the Rams. Insane stuff. Also, man, shouts out to Dan Quinn, because I don't know what he did. He coached his tail off. Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Witt Jr. all played a part. But whatever he said in the locker room throughout practice leading up to this game, man, I don't know what happened, but we finally learned how to run the ball and get pressure on the quarterback. And if we do that consistently, we're going to win a lot of games. Also, I want to point out the fact that this was like the first full game performance we put together. Typically like the first 2/3 of the season, we were a first half team, but we would always try to blow leads away in the second half, right? Then the last 5-6 weeks, we would be all right or even bad in the first half, and then we got to find a way to pull a miracle in the second half, which we did did more times than not. And then today was the first time we've played a full 4 quarters from beginning to start in a long time. Like, I think you have to go all the way back to that Titans game before the bye week the last time we did it. And then even before then, you probably have to go way back even further. Maybe that was the first time against I guess the Panthers game when Jaden Daniels got hurt and Marcus Mariota had to come in, I guess. It's literally only those 3 games. Panthers, the Titans, and now the Detroit Lions. Imagine putting the Panthers, the Lions, and the Detroit Lions in the same bucket. Those are the only games that the Commanders played a full 4 quarters of great football. Offense, defense, special teams, everything, man. Insane. Now moving on to Cliff Kingsbury, just to let you know, the Commanders had a 313 yard, 24-point half for the offense. I mean, absolutely insane stuff, man. Also, the 52 total points between the Commanders and Lions in the first half is tied with the 2019 Chiefs versus Texans for the most first half points in a postseason game in NFL history, man. Shouts out to our defense for contributing to some of those points. Quan Martin with the pick 6. Stop playing with him. Also, the Commanders had 31 points at half. So out of the 52, we were responsible for 31 of them. The Lions only had 21, man, so blame them for us not breaking that Chiefs-Texans record, even though I'm happy that they didn't. Also, the Commanders have had 31 points total in a game, only 6 times the previous 4 seasons. Insane. And we did that just in a half, man. You knew we came out ready to win this game if we came out and put up 31 points on them boys immediately. 24 by the offense, 7 by the defense. And then also at a certain point in the game, our drives were touchdown, touchdown, punt, into half, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. What? Come on, man. Shouts out to Zane Gonzalez for missing the kick and messing up our elite run of plays, man. We only punted once, man. No turnovers from Jaden Daniels. I mean, if you force 4 meaningful turnovers, but technically 5 total turnovers, and you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win that game, honestly. You know what I'm saying? And I think we've only punted once this entire playoff run combined so far in the 2 games, because I don't believe we punted against the Buccaneers. So that's no turnovers and only 1 punt all combined in 2 playoff games, all on the road. Insane. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff, man. It's just ridiculous, to be honest with you. Not a man of the hour. That boy, Jaden Daniels. You cannot convince me he wasn't the best player on the field today, man. I can only recall 2 passes, 2 bad plays from him where he was inaccurate. It was his fault that the pass went incomplete. And I love the fact that on one of them, it was 3rd down. He had Terry McLaurin open on a slant. May have been a touchdown. He threw it behind him, missed him there. Of course, Terry McLaurin wasn't able to catch it. I mean, that was almost an impossible catch. The immediate next play, Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn trusted Jaden Daniels to go out there on 4th down and throw it to the same guy, Terry McLaurin. Instead of being on the left side of the field, he moved to the right side of the field, still trusted him to throw him the ball, designed the play to get the ball from Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin, and it worked beautifully. And Jaden Daniels made up for the one of the 2 bad plays he had, and then the other one, he just completely missed somebody as well. Out of the whole game, I can only recall 2 bad plays out of this entire game. Jared Goff, you can count on 2 hands how many bad plays he had. I mean, just 4 interceptions alone, you know what I'm saying? And even outside of that, some inaccurate throws where he missed guys open down the field and stuff like that. Jaden Daniels only had 2 bad games on the road against the NFC number 1 seed opponent in Detroit. Insane. As a rookie. Come on, man. Also, Jaden Daniels pulled off the largest spread upset by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. Remember, the Lions were 9.5-point favorites over the Commanders. We've literally never seen this before. I really want y'all to take a step back and put that into perspective. We've never seen something like this before, man. Also, Washington Commanders Pro Bowl quarterback Jaden Daniels is the first rookie in NFL history with 300+ total yards in 2 playoff games. What? In the win versus the Detroit Lions in the divisional round, Daniels totaled 350 yards. He only had 299 passing. He was that close to 300. 2 touchdowns and a 122.9 passer rating. What? Jaden Daniels in the playoffs so far between the Buccaneers and the Lions, 46 of 66, 567 passing yards, 87 rushing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, no interception, and how about only 1 sack taken? Now, the offensive line did block way better against the Lions than they did the Buccaneers, but a lot of that is just Jaden Daniels being a wizard in the pocket, getting out of the pocket, behind the line of scrimmage. Insane. I mean, literally doing Houdini David Blaine type of stuff back there. Eyes in the back of his head. It's ridiculous. Also, man, Jaden Daniels excelled in the most difficult passing situations against the Lions. Shouts out the next gen stats for this one. Versus the blitz, he was 12 of 16, 191 yards and a touchdown with a +7% CPOE. Literally insane. I don't think y'all understand. Also, over 2.5 seconds, 10 of 16, 172 yards and a touchdown with a +6.3% CPOE. And then under pressure, Under pressure, 7 of 9, 109 yards, and a plus 17.6 CPOE, man. And of course, again, to remind you, he was never sacked in the game, and he was blitzed that much. That means he was blitzed at least 16 times, and he was under pressure 9 of them. What is going on? Shouts out to the offensive line for taking away 7 of them, but the other 9 insane stuff by Jaden Daniels. Also, Jaden Daniels already has more wins than negative plays so far in this postseason. When we're talking sacks, fumbles, and interceptions, Jaden Daniels has more playoff wins than any of those 3 things I just mentioned combined. Ridiculous stuff, man. Also, if you want to compare him to quarterbacks, he already has more playoff wins than, especially road playoff wins, than a lot of these other top quarterbacks y'all are trying to put in the same category as Jaden Daniels. It's beautiful, man. We're going to keep it pushing. Also, Jaden Daniels will be the 6th rookie quarterback since the 1970 merger to start a conference championship. He has the chance to become the first to win it. You had Sean King in the year 2000. You had Ben Roethlisberger 2004, Joe Flacco 2008, Mark Sanchez 2009, Brock Purdy 2022. And do you know what all of those people have in common? All of them had elite, at least great to elite defenses arguably carrying them. Especially, boy, Mark Sanchez in 2009. Even Joe Flacco in 2008, man. Just great to elite defenses carrying all of those guys. Jaden Daniels does not have the same thing. He has to go out there and score 45 points to beat it. Well, technically 38 points to go out there and beat a team that scored 31, man. This is ridiculous, bro. Come on, man. Out of all of those names I just gave you, Jaden Daniels is easily working with the least talented defense. Shouts out to Joey Jr. and Dan Quinn for coaching their tails off, though. Also, shouts out to Nick Allegretti. He said in the locker room after the game, quote, "Jay is special. There's times that he had a better call, that they had a better call, and had us beat, and then Jaden Daniels just made it right." Unquote. That's the difference maker in Jaden Daniels. Even if the opponent calls the better play than us, Jaden Daniels will somehow make it right. He'll make Cliff Kingsbury right even when Kingsbury is wrong. Insane stuff. Also, just to point it out, shouts out to JP Finley for bringing this up. Nick Allegretti is now going to his 6th straight conference title game. Remember, he was with the Chiefs for a long time, so that's ridiculous. Also, just remember that, like, at the end of the first half, it was 31-21. The camera went to go look at Jaden Daniels. He had the straightest face as if, like, it wasn't him orchestrating all of it. It was insane. I love his personality, man. I mean, it's my favorite one, bruh. Again, he always reminds me of Damian Lillard after he hit that game winner on Paul George and everybody was like on top of him and crowding him and hugging him. And he was just looking at the camera with that straight face. I feel like Jaden Daniels completely embodies that, man. Nobody's cooler, more calm and collected than Jaden Daniels right now, arguably out of anybody. Even Pat Mahomes at times looks a little bit more emotional than him. Jaden Daniels is the most stone cold killer doing it, man. The most ice-hearted assassin in the NFL right now. Also, just to let you know, Jaden Daniels joined Ben Roethlisberger for the most wins by a rookie quarterback in NFL history with 14. Let's go make it 15 and go to the Super Bowl, man, and make it 16. Also, Jaden Daniels is the first rookie quarterback to win 5+ games versus #1 overall pick quarterbacks since 1950, including the playoffs. He is on a tear. If you're a #1 pick quarterback, remember, he's a #2 overall pick. He's taking you down. If you're a #1 overall pick quarterback, Jaden Daniels is on the way to ruin your day. I love it. Brian, running back wise, we don't have to spend too much time on it. Just to summarize real quick, and I'll probably dive into like some greater stats later on, some advanced stats, yards per, after contact per carry, things. We'll get to that later. But for now, B-Rob is back, man. We were calling him Brian because he wasn't showing up the last few weeks. He's back, man. I don't know if he was banged up and we just didn't know it, but he looked better today. Now, of course, the offensive line blocked their tails off today. They ran blocked way better. And I kept saying, I feel like it was a mix of the offensive line and Brian Robinson while he was having some bad games. The offensive line finally stepped up, but B-Rob did his part as well because he finally was running people over again. Even last week against the Buccaneers when we won, even though the offensive line wasn't blocking very well, even when he was out in open space, he wasn't running people over and making people miss. Today, he ran people over and was giving us yards after contact again, finally. And then Austin Eckler made some huge plays for us, man. Talking about yards after contact, making people miss. That one spin move early in the game was insane. Him as a receiver and a running back. I mean, it's absolutely insane, man. So I mean, I don't know, man. We still need to get our own Jahmyr Gibbs in the offseason. I would still love like a game-changing running back. But these two stepped up big time, and I don't even want to spend too much time talking about getting another running back because these guys deserve all of their flowers and praise right now. We shouldn't even be talking about that. I honestly shouldn't have even said that. I mean, I'm just thinking ahead. You know, I'm a GM at heart. But Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, if y'all can keep this up all the way through a Super Bowl, we can win a Super Bowl, y'all. Like right now, this year. You know what I'm saying? Like I keep saying, I believe, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't believe going into this Detroit Lions game. I did. So why not go ahead and go all the way to the Super Bowl? Like I said, I felt like the Lions were the best team in the NFC. And I feel like arguably the best team in the NFL, and we beat them. Why not us? You know what I'm saying? Moving on to the wide receivers, man. Dyami Brown. Boy. I think he's still like an elite wide receiver 3. He's playing like a wide receiver 2 right now. I would still love to get a guy that can come in and be a wide receiver 2. But if you're receiving core, I mean, it's amazing how much Dyami Brown has elevated his game. Because I feel like you have Terry McLaurin as your wide receiver 1, a really good wide receiver 2, and Dyami Brown's your wide receiver 3. You're cooking. And I would have never have thought that 5 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? His playoff run, I mean, literally when the lights have been their brightest and we've needed him the most is when he's had his best games, man. He just went for 5 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown versus the Buccaneers, and then 6 catches for 98 yards today against the Detroit Lions, man. This guy is stepping up when we need him the very most, man. Remember, he went 4 years without catching the ball 5 times in a single game. Not once in 4 seasons, and now in just the last 2 weeks, he has 5 catches and then 6 catches, man. So, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like the elevation and the development he's done. It just took Cliff Kingsbury to come in to figure out what Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, and Eric Bieniemy couldn't. Also, I mean, look at this picture right here. How did this turn into a 39-yard reception? First of all, how was this not a flag? Imagine if he doesn't catch this and the refs don't call a flag. Come on, now they didn't even throw a flag on that. That's insane. But how did he catch this pass, man? And also, I want to point out the fact that, I mean, great catch from Dyami Brown. Insane stuff, especially with your eyes covered like that. But like Jaden Daniels, that throw was so perfect. Arguably one of the best throws I've ever seen him make since he's reached the NFL level. Like, I don't think people are talking enough about that throw. I mean, honestly, he could have thrown that 39 yards all into like a back of the door basketball hoop. Like how accurate that was. That was insane. It couldn't have been placed any better. He couldn't have frozen time and walked it up and handed it to Dyami Brown in a better spot than that. But still, shouts out to Dyami Brown for catching that pass with all of that going on. Also, man, hey, I agree with Bijan Todd when he said, hey, man, Dyami Brown is starting to equal playoff Jamal Murray, man. Maybe it takes for the playoffs for him to step up, but hopefully maybe he's just found his groove. And maybe after we re-sign Dyami Brown, I'm definitely saying re-sign him to a nice 2-3 year long contract in the offseason. Maybe he's figured something out. Maybe some switches, something clicked, and maybe this is just actually who he is, and he'll be doing this in the regular season as well, man. Also, shouts out to Janky Rondo because he tweeted at Amon-Ra St. Brown and said, Dyami still some S-word or what? And hey, man, because you got to remember, Amon-Ra St. Brown has been talking crazy about Dyami Brown, especially back in a 2022 presser, talking about the Commanders picking Dyami Brown ahead of him in the 2021 draft. He said the Commanders, they got a guy before me over there. I believe his name is Dyami Brown. I don't forget things like that. I see him across the sideline from where I'm standing during the game. I'm going to give him every team hell. And I can understand that, but then he went on to even talk more trash about like who, like was he even out there and stuff like that, like some real, like that one I understand, self-motivation, cool. But then he started talking trash directly towards Dyami Brown and trying to disgrace him. Now look, Dyami Brown not only won the game, but he had a better game than you, so stop playing with him. Also, shouts out to Terry McLaurin. My mom sent me these stats, so shouts out to her. Terry McLaurin, among all wide receivers in tight window targets this season, first in receptions, first in reception yards, first in reception touchdowns, first in receiving EPA, second catch rate, and second catch rate over expected, which means that, and when we're talking about tight windows, we're talking about separation of less than a yard, which means Terry McLaurin is the #1 single-handedly best wide receiver in the NFL at contested catches. Stop playing. Also, man, that Terry McLaurin screen, bubble screen, first of all, shouts out to Olamide and Dyami Brown for blocking their tails off to give them the opportunity. The way he split the defensive backs and then accelerated. We've seen Terry McLaurin get tackled within like the 10 or the 5-yard line so many times this season. It was so amazing to finally see him take one home outside of the first time we played the Dallas Cowboys where he took a big one home. Also, that was his second touchdown reception of the postseason in his NFL career. Remember, he got one back in the Taylor Heineke time when we played the Buccaneers. So I'm I'm really, really happy to see that, man. Shouts out to Terry McLaurin, man. Big time game. Also, Terry McLaurin after the game said, quote, "We're not done yet," unquote. And I believe him. I ain't gonna lie, I believe him. Moving on to the tight end position, man, real quick, kind of run through those real quick as well. Shouts out to Zach Ertz, first of all, for catching everything thrown towards him in that game and getting us a touchdown, and then also getting hurt after that, but then coming back into the game and making more plays for us, specifically that big-time recovery we had on that onside kick when the Lions were trying to, switch the whole game around, man. That was a big-time play. That's why you put wide receivers and tight ends with good hands, guys with good hands that can catch on the field for those type of situations. And Zach Ertz, man, thank you. Also, hey, man, John Bates, game-sealing throw. What was it, third down? Maybe it was even fourth down. I don't remember. I think it was more than likely third down, but we're trying to chew the clock up. It's like, 3-4 minutes left in the game, and we throw like a 15-yard throw to John Bates and expect him to catch it, and then he does catch it? Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. Cliff Kingsbury's in his bag today, but moving on to the offensive line, the whole offensive line played very well today. The best game as a whole from the offensive line we've seen in at least over a month, maybe a month and a half. I'm not gonna lie, literally since that Titans game before the bye week, like literally. And then again, shouts out to Trent Scott because he stepped up big time, man. When Samuel Cosme got hurt, I was trying to think, okay, maybe Michael Dieter, he's a backup center. That's fairly close to guard. Maybe he comes in for Samuel Cosme at right guard, or maybe you move Andrew Wiley to right guard from right tackle and then Cornelius Lucas at right tackle. Those were my two guesses. I would have never have guessed that, first of all, Trent Scott would come in to be the starting defensive lineman with Samuel Cosme hurt. And then on top of that, he played very well. Wow, man. So, a salute to Trent Scott, and also salute to Brandon Coleman because he had a terrible game against the Buccaneers. He had arguably, from what I noticed, I got to go back and look at the All-22. Brandon Coleman arguably had the best game of his career against the Detroit Lions. And what a day to have the best game in your life, man. Shouts out to this defense for having their best game, the most turnovers they've created in a game all season, including the regular season. What a time to have the best day of your life for the defense, for the offensive line, for a lot of these guys, man. We needed that. But honestly, man, again, shouts out to the offensive line. They had their best blocking day, both run blocking and pass protection, in a pretty long time. And this game wouldn't have gone how it went without those guys balling out like the way that they did. Shouts out to Zadarius Smith, because I believe he was talking some crazy trash against us, or like dismissed us or something like that. Maybe he didn't mean it the way that I took it, but he was asked about like the fact that, like, and he mentioned like I played against those guys in Cleveland and stuff like that, and I feel like he said something to the extent of like he's not really worried about us, and he's like excited about going against our offensive line again. Yeah, let's go. Move on to the defense. Shouts out to Joe Wood Jr. I feel like he called an excellent game today. He did what he could with the talent that he had. That is my whole thing this entire year, man. This defense is not done. It's not exactly where they want it to be. They can't even call the exact plays that they used to call for the Dallas Cowboys the past 3 years because they just literally don't have the pieces. So Joe Wood Jr. It's taken him a while, but he's learned on the fly throughout this season to learn how to call a completely different defense from what he had been calling and helping Dan Quinn call for the Dallas Cowboys the past 3 years. And this is also, I believe, his first time being a defensive coordinator full-time, calling plays and everything like that. So this is like a completely new situation for him. It's a new personnel, new style of defense he had to adjust to. It's insane what work he's done, man, and I feel like he did a great job getting these guys ready today. There were some questionable things, but I understand why he did a lot of things that he did. If you go back and look at the All-22, you're gonna be like, man, Joe Wood Jr. was a genius for that play a few times while you're watching it. Trust me, I can't wait to watch it myself. Also, just to let you know, I mean, to start the game, ridiculous start for the defense. I mean, Zane Gonzalez kicked the ball out of bounds to start the game. I was like, oh, man, y'all can't do that. We're in Detroit, crowd going crazy. They're starting with great field positioning. How about the defense went out there and made a really good play, a good stop on first down. Then Dante Fowler did a tackle for a loss of 5 yards on second down. And then Goff missed Patrick on a third and long. Defense get off the field immediately, man. I mean, that was a fantastic first drive. And then after that, I'm always asking, you can bend, but don't break. But the defense is doing a lot of bending and a lot of breaking at the same time on that, starting with that second defensive drive after our failed fourth down attempt that the Commanders didn't get. That was the only one we didn't get all day. Again, remember we went 3 of 4, but we started on 0 of 1 off of that one, and I'm happy that we stayed very consistent and persistent with that to keep going for fourth down. Shouts out to Dan Quinn and the entire team and Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, the execution of everybody, man. But yeah, my point is, though, the defense got off to a great start, and then it got ugly. Remember, outside of that late game field goal, every time the Lions touched the ball, it was either a touchdown or a turnover. You know what I'm saying? So we couldn't stop them. It was either we get a turnover or they run right through us like wet toilet paper, or like somebody said in my stream, a hot knife through butter, man. It literally looked like that, man. I mean, shouts out to our defense, though, for getting the turnovers, man. I mean, we needed literally all of them, but like the last one, man. And then the Jeremy Chin one, I would say like the one with like 20 seconds left, that was like the only one we didn't necessarily need. But all of the other ones were huge game-changing plays, game-saving plays. Because the defense, again, could not stop the Lions and force them to punt to save their lives. So they just figured, all right, we can't stop them. How well we just take the ball away from them. 5 turnovers and 4 of them interceptions. Don't ever compare Jared Goff to Jaden Daniels ever again, even if you're a Lions fan. Learn your place, man. Also, Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr., again, like I said earlier, have been screaming about turnovers all season, man. We haven't been doing it to the standard that they wanted. They stepped up and did it today. They did it today, man. And then we got to talk about it. I can't skip this. We're going to go ahead and talk about this since we're talking about the defensive side of the ball. And, yo, the refs, 3rd and 2, call a phantom face mask on Dante Fowler, where all he did was grab the shoulder pad. My main thing is like, okay, if you didn't see a definitive face mask where the player's face moves or anything like that, why do you call that? Like, if it's even 50-50, you don't call that, since it's a non-reviewable play, right? But instead, they tried to give the Detroit Lions a free play, technically ended up giving them a free 7 yards. That was insane. I mean, like, literally a multi-billion-dollar business, and y'all still don't have a system in place to figure things out like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous how bad the officials have been as far as bad calls, missed calls all season, man. It's making the product worse. It's insane. I feel bad for even supporting the games and watching them, because I feel like I'm feeding into their stupidity at the end of the day, man. So we got to figure out a way to review these or something like that. We have to set up something to where we can review face masks and things like that, bro. They got to fix that, because that call was terrible. Shouts out to Louis Riddick. He even agreed, and all of Twitter was talking about it. Literally, like, the word like rigged was trending immediately after that penalty. Like, everybody, not even just Commanders fans, everybody was like, what is going, yo, Lions, there's no way. Y'all not about to do for the Chiefs, do for the Lions what y'all be doing for the Chiefs with the cheating calls. Shouts out to Louis Riddick. He said that's a terrible rule. Ref calls what he thinks he sees, not what he actually sees, but it's wrong. And replay assist can't fix it. It isn't a judgment call. You either grabbed the face mask or you didn't. Really dumb. I completely agree with all of that, man. Shouts out to Chris Russell, because he brings up a good point too. He said Adam Peters and Lance Newmark, sitting right near them, the media guys, are better people than me. I'd be slamming stuff after a call like that. The Commanders deserve better fate on that drive. Totally different game because of that penalty. Literally. When people say refs don't affect games, don't blame the refs for anything, they literally gave the Detroit Lions a free 7 points, dog. That could have been game changing. The game was still fairly close at that point, man. I mean, ridiculous. But after that, the Commanders went on to play their best half of football that they played the entire season, and really the best 4 quarters they put together all season, especially when you're considering, like, you know, level of, you know, strength of difficulty. I know a lot of people doubted our schedule. A lot of people, I think I saw somewhere by the end of the regular season, we ended up with the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. Like, literally 32nd strength of difficulty type of stuff. Literally number 1 easiest schedule in the NFL. But when you beat the Detroit Lions in their house, what can you say now? You know what I'm saying? What about a regular season schedule? How about we beat the number 1 seed in a Detroit Lions when most teams couldn't do that this year? But yeah, shouts out to the team, man. They played their best 4 quarters. Again, you can say the Titans and the Panthers game, but neither of those teams are anywhere near as good as the Detroit Lions. So when you're including degree of difficulty into the equation, this is our best game all year. Not even close. Not even close. And before I even move on to the defensive line, man, the refs gave y'all a free 7 points, and y'all still lost by 14. Come on, man. Now moving on to the defensive line, dog. I mean, Dorrance Armstrong was huge today with a strip sack. Frankie Louvu recovered it. I believe that was the first turnover of the game for us. That was ridiculous. Then we had that one insane one-handed touchdown catch from Sam Laporta, right? Y'all remember that? Where Jared Goff was already halfway to the ground. That was Jonathan Allen. I don't know if y'all went back and looked at the play, but he completely obliterated the offensive lineman in front of him. Like, grabbed him, threw him out the way type of stuff. Like Aaron Donald looking. A little bit slower than Aaron Donald, but it was like some Jalen Carter, I guess I could say, stuff. We just get rid of the guy and go get the quarterback. But Jared Goff got it out of his hands so quickly. And Jonathan Allen's literally bringing him to the ground as he throws it. Just an amazing play by Jared Goff, and more so by Sam Laporta. But Jonathan Allen was everywhere. You know how I know? Because he finished the game with 6 pressures. That's tied for his most in a single game since week 11 of the 2022 season, last time he went to the Pro Bowl. He also had 4 hurries, 2 quarterback hits, and a tackle for loss. Come on, man. Well, I tried to tell y'all Jonathan Allen coming back and being healthy was going to help us in the long run. A lot of people doubted it. Now look at us, man. Jonathan Allen had a big-time game for us today, and we needed every bit of it. And then also, shouts out to Dante Fowler for making some plays, especially against the run. But Dorrance Armstrong, man, he ended up with 2 sacks by the end of the game, man. Remember, Jaden Daniels was never sacked in the game, but Dorrance Armstrong had 2 by himself, man. That is fantastic stuff, man. I think he's our highest paid free agent, right? Out of everybody. Like anybody that we signed, like Frankie Louvu, Dorrance Armstrong, I think on a per year basis, he's one of our highest paid free agent signings, or maybe literally the highest paid free agent signing. So I'm happy that he finally stepped up and looked like it today. Linebacker wise, I mean, Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner were flying around. Now it did look like Bobby Wagner was bothered by his, strained ankle or whatever he's dealing with right now, a little bit, but overall they played well. They didn't look like, Frankie Louvu didn't look like all pro Louvu today or anything like that, even though he did recover that fumble. And I mean, that hit he had on Jared Goff had him rattled for the rest of the game. That was probably a game-changing play right there. Jared Goff throws the pick 6, and then while trying to, I don't even know why he tried to go make a tackle on Quan Martin. That was stupid. Just like a punter, a kicker, the quarterback should never even try to make a stop on a play like that, unless you're built like Cam Newton and Anthony Richardson, maybe then, but Jared Goff, not you. That's not your bag, bro. And you got clocked by Frankie Louvu for that. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't wish injuries on anybody, but that's literally what you get. What are you doing trying to make a play on the ball like that? I never wish injuries on anybody, and I hope Jared Goff's okay, but it just seemed like he wasn't the same after that, man. I don't know. I mean, I felt like he was already having a bad game. Remember, he threw the pick 6 before he got hit. So I feel like we still would have won the game regardless, but he definitely seemed rattled after that, man. So again, shouts out to all of our linebackers. I even saw Mykal Walker out there at times and things like that. The only real noticeably bad player I feel like from that game was Percy Butler. Everybody else I feel like had a pretty good game, or at the very least was, fairly impactful, because even Deron Payne had a couple of plays as well. Now moving on to the cornerback position, man. Hey, man, Mikey, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta call you out. Because the first time we noticed you on the field for real, Jameson Williams had you beat for a deep 70-yard touchdown, but Jared Goff overthrew it and missed the throw, right? Immediately after that, Mike Sainristil got in his bag, went into try-hard mode. Then he got the huge interception right before the half when the Commanders we couldn't stop the Lions again. Like, we needed that, bro. I mean, huge play. And then he had no safety help as well. No safety help, y'all. Just a big-time play. One-on-one versus Jameson Williams in the end zone by himself. That level of trust from Joe Wood Jr. for a rookie playing out of position technically. He was drafted to be a slot corner. Now he's an outside corner covering. Jameson Williams is arguably one of the fastest players in the league. No safety help in the end zone by himself, one-on-one with the game on the line. Going before halftime, again, that was another one of those drives where our defense couldn't get a stop to save their lives. Mike Sainristil allowed us to walk away, allowing no points there. Then he got another interception after we went up 38-28, man. And that interception was crazy. I don't even know why Jameson Williams threw that. So shouts out to Mike Sainristil for getting the interception while covering Jameson Williams, and then also picking off Jameson Williams. I would say that's lockup right there. Also, cornerback Mike Sainristil is the first player to record at least 2 interceptions in a playoff game since Barry Wilburn did it in the Super Bowl versus the Denver Broncos, my fault. XX2. What is that, Super Bowl 22? Golly. Sainristil also did it in Michigan, where he starred for the Wolverines. Remember, he had 2 picks in a Michigan game as well, man. This guy's a pick machine. That's why Joe Wood Jr. and Dan Quinn wanted him so bad. Also, speaking of cornerbacks, take some time with me. Let me just, hold up. Is there anybody that we're missing that we're talking about? Is there any name I haven't mentioned yet, cornerback-wise, that maybe you have forgotten about, and now it's just like a light bulb's coming up right now? Yes, I'm talking about Marshon Lattimore. Did you ever hear his name in this game? Outside of one time when he came and helped, I think it was Jeremy Chin for a tackle against the run, which prevented the Lions from getting the first down. If Marshon Lattimore didn't come up there and help, that probably would have been a first down. Now, I do remember on that big end-around touchdown after Teddy Bridgewater came into the game that Jameson Williams had. I feel like Marshon Lattimore played that terribly, and he probably could have prevented that touchdown. Outside of that, covering average-wise, specifically, he had a fantastic game against the Lions, and y'all probably didn't even notice. So go ahead and be as loud with the praise for Marshon Lattimore from this game as y'all were with the hate from the last game. I told y'all he would shake off the rust and be just fine moving forward. I feel like the hamstring was still bothering him against the Bucks, and he also was shaking off rust because he barely got to practice. Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr. literally said this is going to be the first week he's had consistent practice in a long time. Don't be surprised if he has a better game. Joe Wood Jr. literally, I did a whole video on it just a few days ago. He said, watch out. It's not an excuse. Just know that Marshon Lattimore hasn't practiced much before going into that game against the Eagles, having to cover A.J. Brown, and the same thing with Mike Evans and the Buccaneers. Now he had a full week to prepare for the first time in a long time, and you see the results. You know what I'm saying? Joe Wood Jr. was not lying there. Moving on to safety, man. Quan Martin, that pick six, man. I have no words for that, man. That was so beautiful. Overthrow by Jared Goff, and the ability to return that was so huge, man. First of all, that was his first career pick six ever in his career. One of the very few really good Ron Rivera draft picks. And then at the end of the day, end of the game, with like 20 seconds left, Jeremy Chin got himself an interception as well to kind of join the party, even though that one was fairly inconsequential. But I like the fact that it stopped the Lions from scoring, which allowed us to win by 14 points. If they would have scored right there, a touchdown or whatever, people would have been looking like 45-38. The Commanders didn't win by that much. Nah, I'm happy. Even with that free 7 points the refs gave them, 14 points feels a lot different than only beating them by 7. Plus, it would have been a nail biter all the way to the end if we were only up 7. So thank you for that one anyway. Even though that was after the nail biter already ended. But my brain is all over the place. I'm sorry. But shouts out to Jeremy Chin, the most inconsequential interception that's made me super happy probably ever. Also, the Commanders, moving on to special teams, I believe that we're talking about special teams right now. The special teams wise, the Commanders led the league in kickoffs that landed in the landing zone, right? So between Austin Seibert and Zane Gonzalez, we've been doing a pretty good job with that this year, right? But then the opening kickoff bounces out of bounds, letting the Lions start at their own 40-yard line. Insane. I was so worried. I was like, oh man, we can't beat ourselves against a team this good. And then shouts out to Tress Way, because the only punt that he attempted today, and I think it's his only punt of the playoffs so far, it was a great punt. He pinned them within the 10-yard line. I mean, insane. It was after our first offensive drive in the third quarter where we didn't go anywhere, and it was our only punt of the game, only punt of the playoffs, and he pinned them within the 10-yard line. It was insane. And then again, Zane Gonzalez missing a 44-yard field goal. I know we're enjoying the win. We have every reason to celebrate, but it's definitely something to watch out for moving forward. You can't be out here missing 37-yarders against the Buccaneers that barely go in, and then missing 44s. He made it 52 against the Buccaneers, but I don't know where that's gone since. And then also, before we get up out of here, we also have some interesting other people reviews before we leave. Shouts out to Rick Snyder. He said Commanders flash grades: quarterback A+, running back A+, wide receiver A+, tight end A+, offensive line A+, defensive line B, linebacker A, defensive back A+, special teams A, coaching A+. A, man, it's hard to disagree with that one, man. It's hard to disagree with that one. That is crazy. Jaden Daniels is going to an NFC conference game before Dak Prescott. That's just absolutely insane. I think Dak Prescott has 2 playoff wins, and Jaden Daniels already tied him with that. Oh, that's insane. Also, shouts out to P. Haley for this one. And that just came out of nowhere. That was just a random thought. P. Haley, he said the team with the rookie quarterback that won 6 straight games on the final play decided tonight to instead pummel the number 1 seed by 14 points in their house to move on to the NFC title game next weekend. Yep, got you. Okay. Makes total sense. Hey, man. Shouts out to Josh Taylor. Make sure y'all follow my boy on Twitter. Subscribe to him on YouTube. He said Jaden Daniels is the greatest rookie quarterback of all time. I don't understand how you don't agree at this point. What rookie quarterback would you put ahead of him? Nobody. There's no way. You're just being a full-blown hater if you're saying that. Shouts out to DC Rising for this one. He said, by the way, I don't want to ever hear Jared Goff in top 5 quarterback debates ever again. We've been saying that Jaden Daniels was better for forever. We've been laughed at. We were right. Thank you, Jared Goff, for the 3 interceptions and a fumble tonight. Enjoy your trip to Cancun. Don't forget your sunscreen, man. Technically 4 interceptions and a fumble. Jared Goff was responsible for all of the Lions' 5 turnovers, man. Thank you. But again, only 3 of them really matter. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble matter. Last one to Jeremy Chin, but I'm still happy that we got it. Also, shouts out to Serge the Shooter. He said a rookie quarterback on the road in the divisional round scores 48 points. Man, stop playing. I'm right with him. Shouts out to Grant Paulson. The Commanders have been the key ingredient in the top 2 playoff games played so far this postseason. Get ready for all of the primetime games next year. I said this during my live stream, man. Literally, arguably the two best games of this entire playoff so far between AFC, NFC, whatever you want to call it, whatever game, whatever matchups, whatever. You could argue the Commanders have had the two best games to watch, right? And I mean, we're big time. Don't expect to play any 1 p.m. games next year. If we do, it's going to be very few. Expect most of our games to be 4 p.m.'s game of the weeks, 8 p.m.'s prime time, Monday night, Sunday night, all that type of stuff, man. They're going to try to put us anywhere for everybody to see at any time. Remember, coming into this game, before the game even started, the Detroit Lions, to get tickets to this game, for this divisional round that we just beat the Detroit Lions in, those are the most expensive tickets for a non-Super Bowl game in NFL history. Insane. I believe I said that already earlier, but I'm already like 56 minutes into the recording, so I'm sorry, my brain is all over the place. Shouts out to Peter Schrager. He said another thing Adam Peters did so well in the construction of this roster was finding and placing free agent veteran dudes in every position group. Mariota at quarterback, Wiley at tackle, Eckler at running back, Ertz at tight end, Allegretti at guard, Wagner at linebacker, Luvu at linebacker, Chin at safety, Fowler at edge rusher. All huge pieces. None were hot free agent names. The closest one to it is maybe arguably Frankie Luvu, but none of these guys were the guys that everybody was fighting over. Adam Peters is a genius, man. Also, between Jaden Daniels and Mike Sainristil, it took one Adam Peters draft to arguably outproduce any Ron Rivera draft combined. Insane, man. Your rookie quarterback and your rookie corner out there carrying. I mean, insane. Mike Sainristil with 2 interceptions. Jaden Daniels with 2 touchdowns. Stop playing with me, man. Come on, man. Also, shouts out to the Cowboys fans, because I saw somebody say, like, not a great feeling that Daniels is looking like this in year 1 from a Cowboys fan's point of view. And JP Finley quote tweeted it and said, checking in on Dallas right now. It has to be scary for Jaden Daniels to already be a top 5 quarterback in his rookie season, man. This is different than CJ Stroud. A lot of people are saying he's going to have a sophomore slump. No, because CJ Stroud was really good his rookie season. He wasn't top 5 quarterback Jaden Daniels level. I'm expecting Jaden Daniels, if anything, to only get better. Watch out, because the team is only going to get better. Also, shouts out to Al Galdi. He said, greatest upset win in Washington playoff history. I agree. Jaden Daniels' his second career playoff game had one of his best games by a Washington quarterback ever. I agree. Commanders in year 1 of a rebuild / recalibration, what Dan Quinn called it, are in the NFC Championship game. Unforgettable game, unforgettable season. I can't wait to watch this game over and over again. The highlights, the replay. I'm gonna go back and watch everything a Lions fan, anybody on ESPN, Fox, NFL Network had to say about the game leading up to it. I'm gonna watch what everybody has to say afterward. I'm checking everything. I'm gonna be spending hours tomorrow, and whenever I can. Again, I'm gonna be out, so I told this to my stream, I'm gonna be out a lot tomorrow between gym, being with the family and things like that. But whenever I can, any downtime I have, while I'm not home, I'm gonna be on my phone rewatching the game. I have NFL access and things like that, so I'm gonna be able to watch like the entire game back. Whenever they come out with the all 22, I'm gonna watch that as well. But I want to hear the announcers and everything too when I rewatch it. This is gonna be one of those games I rewatch for probably the rest of my life. I still go back and look at some Georgia Bulldogs games from our championship runs that we had back-to-back seasons just a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the exact same thing, especially when we win a Super Bowl. Stop playing with me, man. Also, shouts out to We Won Dallas, because he speaks for a lot of us, man. He said, tears streaming down my face. This team, man, anybody, anywhere, anytime. That has been our motto all year, as said by Dan Quinn. We've had a lot of mottos. Recalibration, anytime, anywhere, anytime, anywhere, anybody, all of that type of stuff. But yeah, man, I know a lot of people were tearing up and crying after that game. I'm telling you, I had to fight mine just to be able to get through the stream and do the call-in show. I'm right with y'all. Also, shouts out to Burgundy Blog. He said, Peters, Quinn, and Daniels have all exceeded my most unreasonable hopes and expectations by too much to even articulate. I completely agree. Also, shouts out to Grant Paulson. This is one of the wildest NFL stories in history. One of the most unlikely sports runs ever. The plan in the building for this year was to do things the right way and to try to be a pain in the butt to play while building the roster. Even in their wildest dreams, Washington's brass didn't anticipate this outcome. First year GM ever. First year head coach, not ever, but first time here. First year quarterback, tons of vets on 1-year deals. This does not happen. This is not usual. That's why people didn't predict this to happen, because I don't think this has ever happened before where a team this new has been this great. Also, shouts out to Lake Lewis Jr. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and everywhere. He's on Rio's show once a week as well. Shouts out my boy Rio Robinson. Lake Lewis said, man, what can you say? This was Cliff Kingsbury's best day as a Commanders offensive coordinator. I think he may be able to agree. Everything he dialed up was a hit. Also, when you have a superstar quarterback, it changes everything for a franchise. Jaden is a legit star in this league. I mean, remember, our first offensive possession, we failed that 4th down attempt, and a lot of people were really upset with Cliff Kingsbury, even though I feel like that was more so Brian Robinson messing up the play. Marcus Mariota wasn't able to execute it. But if you really zoom out, I think Jaden Daniels, if they could have gotten him the ball on that 4th down, he probably runs for a touchdown. So I'm not mad at Cliff Kingsbury. I think this was an elite day for him, arguably his best as a Commanders offensive coordinator. I hope he stays forever with Jaden Daniels. I hope he never leaves. Also, shouts out to Irvin Magic Johnson, man, partial owner of the team. He tweeted, isn't it just amazing? The Commanders are going to an NFC championship, and Magic Johnson is an owner and a huge fan of our team right now. Like, this is amazing stuff right now. Who would have thought 5 years ago? Either way, he tweeted, Commanders win. I have to shout out our defense first for setting the tone for the team tonight. We had 5 takeaways, including Martin returning an interception for a touchdown and a huge interception by Sanford still in the end zone to keep the Lions from scoring right before the half. Thank you, Magic Johnson. Also, shouts out to Ethan Cadeau for pointing this out. He said that Commanders win was for Ryan Kerrigan, London Fletcher, RG3, Will Compton, Pierre Garcon, Clinton Portis, Alfred Morris, Jordan Reed, and Stephen Davis, and the others that balled in DC for the last quarter century but were cursed to play under Dan Snyder's ownership. He also added Sean Taylor, obviously, at the end of it as well. I mean, that is for everybody and more, man. A lot of these guys deserve to see that, man. Shouts out to London Fletcher for being up there with Brent Weinstein, helping call in the game as well, man. It's insane. Now, also, before we get up out of here, I have a few random things. First of all, and this is amazing, make sure you note this, don't forget this. Every NFC team has reached the conference championship more recently than the Cowboys. How recently? Well, just first of all, take a time to think about that. The Cowboys have had the least playoff success out of any team in the NFC, period. It's been a while. With the Washington winning tonight, only one NFC team has not made it to the NFC championship in the 21st century. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I think the last time they made it was 1995. Ridiculous. They're the last team to make it to the NFC championship out of the entire division. Also, like I already said earlier, shouts out to the NFC North, man. Came in with 3 teams and just somehow found a way to throw it all away, man. It is insane. Also, what's even more ridiculous is that we're going into the offseason after we win the Super Bowl with the 4th most cap space in the NFL. Let that sink in. Please let that sink in. It's only up from here. Remember, Adam Schefter said that NFL starters, good players around the NFL were telling the agents, please trade me to the Commanders before the trade deadline, before we even knew that we would even be this great, beating the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. That was months ago, towards the end of November. Come on, man. Imagine what this offseason going to look like after we win this Super Bowl. Stop playing. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I can't believe I somehow finished this video with my voice my throat feeling like this, my voice sounding like this, but I appreciate you for making this far. Make sure you stick on that like button, stick on the subscription button, stick on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you leave a like on the way out, man. I'm tired, finally. I couldn't sleep at first, but now after doing this video, now I gotta find the energy to edit it. I'm gonna get it out before I go to sleep, though. Still gotta wake up early for the gym, too. Ooh, I'm struggling right now. I might get like 3 hours of sleep. We'll see. Either way, though, I promised you a fact at the end of the video, just to let you know. Kicker Joey Slye posted a team-leading 99 points for the Commanders in 2022 on 25 field goals and 24 extra points. That is insane. So wait, our kicker, are they saying that our kicker had more points for our team than anybody else? That's embarrassing. I hope that's not what they're saying. Oh my Lord. Either way though, that's your fact of the day. I'm trying to give y'all facts every single day. Since my grandma gave me this calendar, I'm like, I might as well, go ahead and give y'all some trivia and some random Commanders facts for every day of the year. So I'm gonna give this to y'all every single day. Appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all stay tuned. I may come out with a video if I'm not too busy sometime later Sunday night or something like that, or maybe in between all of the stuff I'm doing between gym and being with the family. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I just gotta let my voice rest though, man. But I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out, and of course let me know in the comment section what this win means to you, and if you have any other random stats that are really important, that are big time, that's like, man, this Commanders team is special. Any Jaden Daniels stats, anything, let me know in the comment section. I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many as possible. Again, appreciate everybody that pulled up to the live stream, especially all of y'all that left likes and donated, man. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna be streaming next week as well. Catch y'all later. I'm out.